welcome to Movie Review Mom. I'm the mom and I do the movies. And I am today proudly wearing my logo company shirt because I am one of the faculty at Arizona College of Nursing. And the reason I'm wearing that is because I'm going to share with you a film that is a collection of short stories about the pandemic. And I just want to give a shout out to all of my nursing students about how proud I am of them. And I love how, despite all of the terrible things that have happened during the pandemic, that the world has really seen our medical personnel as true heroes. They always have been heroes, but now the world really recognizes them. And I loved seeing images of people standing outside on their balconies and applauding the medical staff as they were changing shifts, in the hospital, on the street, and that kind of thing. And anyway, so that's why I'm wearing this. So the name of the film that I'm reviewing today is called 𝗪/𝗺. Every moment has a story. This entertaining and very insightful collection of short stories will be available on video on demand and DVD on March 15th, 2022. I'm giving it a rating of R, mostly for profanity with lots of F-bombs and some other suggestive material. I'll give you some tips for parents here in a minute. It is 3 hours and 15 minutes long. And so let me give you an overview in a nutshell, and then I'll get into what I liked and didn't like. So within is an anthology of films that was created in the homes of award-winning filmmakers and actors. A few of the creators include Julianne Moore, Don Cheadle, Rosie Perez, Rebecca Hall, Sanaa Lathan, Carla Gugino, Adrienne Palicki, Emily Mortimer, Julianne Nicholson, and Chris Cooper, among others. Each family created their own story armed with an iPhone and a basic filmmaking kit that traveled across the country from family to family throughout the pandemic. The idea for this project was conceived to harness creativity, find beauty in the mundane when we were all in quarantine, and capture the varied experiences of isolation. 𝗪/𝗺 was produced by Celine Rattray, Trudy Styler, Peter Saviloff, and Michael Saviloff, and executive produced by Nick Marshall and Jenny Halper. These names are important because this was definitely a group effort. The project was collectively overseen by writer Margaret Nagle. You might recognize that name from The Good Lie, which is a fantastic movie, by the way, and Academy Award winner editor Tariq Anwar from The King's Speech, also a fantastic movie. Styler reflected on the experience as being a, quote, wonderful diversion and way for people to funnel their creativity, end quote. So 4 of the shorts were originally screened at the Tribeca Film Festival in 2021, but this is the very first time that the full anthology of 13 films will be widely available as one collection. CEO and Managing Director of Vision Films, Lisa Romanoff, shares, quote, 𝗪/𝗺 addresses some universal issues we all have to face in our relationship with others and within ourselves. So there's part of the with and the in. The personal, diverse, and powerful short films shared by some of the biggest names in film and television provide audiences a unique window into how individuals cope with change and how resilient the human spirit really is, end quote. All right, so with that great praise and introduction, there were plenty of things that I really liked about this collection. As I mentioned, the cast includes incredibly talented actors and directors, including Academy Award nominees and winners and fan favorites. The directors of this collection of short stories also includes a long list of Academy nominees and winners and fan favorites as well. So it's just a really cool collection. And I love taking a peek inside people's homes And you get to do that. Now, I'm assuming that these are their real houses. And so many of them are set in beautiful forests and on lakes and rivers. And I was super impressed. And so that was really fun to see, but also to see them interacting with real family members too was a lot of fun. This is one of those films where you'll have to take a few days to watch it, unless you have time to binge watch the 3+ hours all in one sitting. And I did that. I spread it out over the course of a couple of days. I loved the creativity of all of these directors. And I thought it was really fascinating to see the different ways in which they experienced the quarantine. And in some cases, they're not true stories. It's just how they wanted to share their perspective. Or in some cases, some of them are horror short stories. And so just kind of as they let their imagination wander as they approach the topic of quarantine and pandemic. Now, really, there weren't very many things that I didn't like about this collection. There will be some people who are just not interested in watching stories about the pandemic since they've already been living it for 2 years plus. But I can tell you it's actually really interesting to see what all of these directors have chosen to illustrate in their films, given the topic of the quarantine. Now, most of the films focus on the negative and the sad aspects of quarantine. And sometimes people are lonely because they are alone. Sometimes their family's driving them nuts. And there was only one where let me think about that, where I felt like, oh, yes, togetherness, and that was a thing that brought people together. And so I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of that. Some families really did grow closer during their forced time together. Other than that, I really did enjoy this. So let me give you some tips for parents. I mentioned that I would give it a rating of an R. First of all, outside of the R, kids are going to be completely bored. It's adults talking. There's no big action sequences or anything like that. There is profanity, including multiple F-bombs, lots of alcohol, people smoke joints. You have to read text sometimes on the screen. Sometimes there are some crude images. Unmarried people sleep together and have intimate conversations and other intimate behavior that's probably inappropriate for kids to see. You actually do see a partially naked man through a shower, and then he's like barely holding the towel covering his private part. So I'm just saying. And then there's like some zooming in camera work on some cleavage. All right, so not exactly a family-friendly movie. And certainly one that kids will just be bored with. There are some incredible themes that are illustrated very well, such as, of course, pandemic life, fear, anxiety, depression, marriage, friendship, acceptance, love, loneliness. Black Lives Matter is addressed in a couple of the short films. Touch, and how people yearn to touch again, to see people's faces, that kind of thing. And then ultimately, such an experiment in creativity. So I always try to write down funny lines and interesting lines, and I include them all on my written review at moviereviewmom.com. So you can see all of them there. I'll share just a couple of them with you right now, so you can kind of get a feel for what's in store for you if you watch this. So one of the funny lines that I wrote down was by Julianne Moore, and she's talking to somebody, and she says, "How is it that liquor stores are essential services?" And I thought, a lot of people probably had that question. A lot of people probably said, "Oh, they absolutely are." And then there were a lot of really good, interesting lines that I thought were very insightful. 𝗪𝗏, I don't know if I'm pronouncing her name correctly. She has the very first short in this collection, and in her character, she says, "People live in fear. They have these prejudices that even they don't understand." And I thought that that was insightful given her character and, of course, what also is going on. And then Maya Singer says in another short, she says, "Well, civilization, that was nice." And a lot of people have this doom and gloom, this is the end of the world attitude, and I know a lot of people felt like that, like, are we all going to die from this? kind of a thing. And so I thought that line was kind of funny. And then there's another one where Carla Gugino says, not setting an alarm clock is the world's greatest gift. And I absolutely agree. Well, maybe not the world's greatest, but it is a really great gift. I love not setting that alarm clock and just letting my body wake up. And you might have experienced that during the pandemic, you know, when you didn't have to jump in the car and race over to your office if you were able to work from home and that kind of thing. Anyway, the film does a great job of picturing or illustrating what pandemic life was like, and sometimes quarantine when we're stuck at home, and then when things were loosened up a little bit and we could go out to the store and, you know, actually see other people and that kind of thing. Overall, my movie review mom grade is an A. I just really loved seeing how all of the directors decided to translate their experiences into these short films. So I highly recommend it. All right, so before we go, let me give you a recommendation for another collection that I immediately thought of that I think you might enjoy if you like this collection as well. It's available on Amazon Prime, and it's called Solos. They just had season 1, and now they're working on some more. And again, it's a collection of short stories. They're all different. They all feature celebrities, movie stars, TV stars you know and love. And I just think it's really interesting to see what the film directors do and what the messages are that are presented. So anyway, check that out. Again, it's called Solos. And by the way, if you have never tried Amazon Prime, click down below. I've got a coupon for you to get a free 30-day trial. So you can watch that as well as tons of other movies. And if you join, you get free shipping on Amazon Prime, which is awesome, especially during Christmas season. I saved a bundle on that. All right, so that's it for my review. I hope if you watch this that you do get a kick out of it and maybe even gain some insights into what we have just finished. Well, I shouldn't say finished. We're still having a pandemic, but at least we're not in quarantine anymore. At least I don't think anybody else in the world is still in quarantine. Correct me if I'm wrong. Comment down below if your country is still in quarantine. Anyway, thank you so much. I appreciate all of your support. Be sure and subscribe if you haven't already. And while you're at it, click on that little bell notification and it'll let you know every time I upload new movie reviews or trailer reactions. All right, have a fantastic day and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.